Well, hi there. I'm Diana Montford, the world's first transgender television journalist. Born male, became female, and it's a mad world. My guests are Ms. Ceyenne Doroshow, transgender activist, and Ms. Daphne Chan, human rights activist and photographer who often photographs trans people. And we're going to talk about the transgender experience, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
Yes. Are we feeling chatty?
Very
I
chatty.
am. I'm really excited to talk about something that Ceyenne and I have started.
Well, that would be?
It's called myglitz.com.
Yes.
The website is coming up soon, and it stands for Girls Living in a Trans Society.
Mm-hmm.
And I met Ceyenne through her namesake, Jack Doroshow.
Jack Doroshow. Some of you may have seen the 1968 film The Queen. Jack Doroshow was the MC of that film and the producer. And she is known as Flawless Sabrina and is quite the humanitarian in transgender circles.
So about 10 years ago, I was at Lucky Chang's and I met Jack, who later introduced herself as Flawless.
Excuse me, Lucky Chang's is a restaurant here in New York where all the wait staff is transgender.
And downstairs they do burlesque shows,
Yes.
and they do something called, anyway, it was Halloween. And 3 years ago, I was living on the West Coast, and I decided to move back to New York specifically to do a project about gender identity, and it's called Transparency. And I called Jack and said, "You must meet Ceyenne." So we met. I photographed her amongst many other individuals at the center on 13th Street. And the show, I had a small exhibit. I won Best Documentary through the New York Photo Festival.
Wonderful.
Which I was shocked because there are very well-known photographers who are part of that festival. And I'm happy to say that Cayenne's portrait has been at the New York Photo Festival. It has been at a photo festival in Germany and also in South Korea.
Wonderful.
And it continues to travel as an exhibit to promote just like visibility. Like if someone asks, what does a trans person look like? Or what does a gender nonconforming person look like? What does someone look like when they are beginning their transition? But it wasn't so much about what they look like, but how they felt about themselves through something called gender, how they identified themselves. And throughout the time that I've known people, they've also changed in the 3 years that I've known them.
Well, also, gender, definitions of gender have changed
Yes.
quite a bit. Since, all right, now The Queen was filmed in 1967 for a 68 release. It starred Jack Doroshow, Harlow, who won the contest,
Yes.
Rachel Harlow, and any number of other people. And just watching that film, you can see how things have changed. Women no longer, and cisgender women looked very much like those ladies with high, elaborate hairstyles.
The
And
beehive.
yes, and
The gowns.
yes, and
The crown.
The pageantry of it all.
And people don't do that anymore. At least not.
Not in that fashion.
No. So, well, and what did Jack say about any number of things about gender, about,
He said, well, you've met Jack.
I have never met Jack, but
Oh.
I have a very nice story about Jack. When I was in local Democratic politics, one night I got a call from someone I didn't know. He said, "Hello, is this Diana Montford?" I said, "Yes, who is this?" The person said, "This is Flawless Sabrina." Sabrina from The Queen, the film The Queen. She said, "I want to thank you for going into politics. It's wonderful that you're doing this, that you're being visible as a trans person in politics." That was very sweet of Sabrina to say that.
She told me about their phone call.
Yeah, that was very nice of her.
One of her many stories she had when I first figured out my gender identity. It was in her living room, and
Did she have a bathroom door at that time,
No.
or it still doesn't have one?
never had a
Okay.
bathroom. Well, she had the like
Shutters? Those are
shutters, but they only lasted for a little. And
So-
even the shutters weren't really like
So
you're in the bathroom.
if you want to use, I've never been to Sabrina's house. If you want to use the bathroom,
It's kind of a
a communal experience.
Well, I have a funny story to share about using the bathroom. Flawless always has an entourage, and there are always people there. And I thought, oh my God, I really need to go, but there's no door. And I thought, it's okay. And then I sat down on the seat, and
somebody walked by.
then something stuck to my shoe, and it was actually a Keith Haring etching that had been left on the floor because she has the most amazing art collection,
of everything.
including some of my photographs, everywhere, but sort of,
A
stacked. A
collage.
collage.
Yeah.
Yes, let's use that word. Perhaps not curated. And I thought, oh my goodness, I'm never going to be invited over again. I've just stepped on a Keith Haring.
Did you ruin it?
Well, it has my mark on it, along with other marks on it. I was not the only
but you're
one.
Daphne Chan, so now it's a Keith Haring Daphne Chan. A collaboration,
Sure,
a posthumous
yes.
collaboration.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
Natalie Cole singing Unforgettable with
Right.
Nat King Cole. So there you
Yes.
go.
Yes.
I met Flawless in Bentley's at a Suzanne Bosch party almost 30 years ago. Dancing in the middle of the floor. I just thought it was so creative that this old white person was just dancing it out on the dance floor, and Flawless invited us. First, we invited Flawless to have drinks with us, me and a girlfriend. And then Flawless at 6 o'clock in the morning said, you have to come to my house because I have to do a conference call. And I looked at my girlfriend and she said, he might be a nut. I said, well, we don't know, but we have to try. So we hopped in a cab and we went up to the Upper East Side, which I was so excited. Never been in an apartment on the Upper East Side. And we get in an apartment and Flawless said, make yourselves at home. I'm going to do this phone call. And I sat there and I listened. It was a very important phone call with some record company. I think Flawless's brothers were part of RCA Records.
Yes.
And so I heard aerospace and stuff like that. So I knew it was very important.
Mm-hmm.
So when the phone call was over, I'm sitting on the floor and I'm drinking wine. And I'm noticing there's white hair all over this very, very expensive rug. And I said, well, Jack, do you have a cat? And Jack goes, no, sweetie, if you're referring to the white hair on the floor, snatch, it's my hair. Jack cement glues hair pieces to her head.
Oh,
Yes.
And they're some of them could be very nice bobs, some of them can be Art Deco pieces. But I was in total shock because she had just ripped it off. And then she got right into the source of the morning. So, how can I help you? What's your story? And give me the truth.
oh, that's cool.
And I was like, okay, I don't know what my story is. Well, what's your gender? And at that time, nobody had ever asked me either side of the fence. Were you gay? Here was somebody that was willing to take those precious moments and actually find out what makes me tick. Why wasn't I in school? What was I doing out
You
at
were
that
very
age?
young then.
I was very young. I had no business being in Bentleys. So clearly Jack said, well, we're going to have fun and your girlfriend's going to go back to her house and I'm going to get dressed and I'm going to take you home. I lived in Brooklyn, Bushwick. So me and Jack got in Jack's mom's station wagon and drove across bridges to Bushwick and ring my mother's doorbell, which
Were you living with your mother at the time?
I ran away.
I see.
So this was kind of a one-on-one for my mother and me. Y'all have to find a way to do this together. She's going to need you at some point in your life. If the crime is that she's gender different, then you have to find a way to let her back in because the streets are not safe. And it lasts for a little while. So there was good that came out of that. It actually got me back into the home, and there was conversation around gender identity. Now, was it accepted? No. But it opened up the door to knowing that this is something that's not going to go away.
Right.
It's developing, and it may get worse or it may get better. But what Jack instilled in me was, you need to have an air of class about you. You need to go back to school because education is foremost the most important thing you can have. It's the tool you're going to need. And you need your family.
Yeah.
Regardless to what kind of shit they put you through,
Yeah.
you're going to need them. And now that I'm older, I realize all of what Jack had taught me was downright the truth.
Why did you take his last name?
I went through a hard transition with my family, with my father, with my mom, not my brother. Very loving, accepted me day one.
Right.
But my brother was able to have the conversation with my parents. She's not crazy. She's not on drugs. She's a she. That's the problem. That opened up a lot. But what brought me to a place of acceptance with them, I still didn't accept myself. I didn't accept what was going on. I was sneaking around to do all of it. There were things, as a child being transgender, there were behaviors that were just, for my parents, unorthodox. For me, it was just I wanted to be a girl. So a lot of taking my mother's clothes and her jewelry was all that craving. Not as a child, you don't know that. As an adult, I realize it now, oh my God, it was there. It was there from childhood because those were the behaviors. Flawless kept guiding me through leaving home officially, getting myself together, getting a job, graduating. I had Flawless's support. It only seemed fitting when I wanted to change my name and I actually sat with Flawless and asked, as all children should, can I have your name? And she said, I'm honored. And so what are we going to do with the first name? And I said, how about Cayenne like the pepper? And she said, perfect, stick with it. And actually Glitz came from Flawless. When I had this idea almost 15 years ago, I was working in New Jersey.
What is Glitz?
Glitz is Girls Living in the Transgender Society. It's basically a creation out of my head, and I, with a lot of help of a lot of people, especially Daphne, to form this kind of housing unit. We want to create housing. We want to create education. We want to be able to provide girls with the necessary tools to sustain, just to be able to live. I'm not saying
transgender women.
Transgender women. I'm not saying that you have to be a millionaire, but I want you to be able to live a fruitful life.
Yes.
I'm so tired of the common stories we've heard this year since the orange person has been in office.
Yes, Trump.
Is that so many transgender women have been murdered. I don't know if it's by design, but it's just too many.
Yes, but every group since His Royal Sun-Kissedness has been in office has suffered.
Yeah,
Good
has
beat down.
suffered.
Yeah.
It's horrible. And when Daphne, so it's so funny, when I met Daphne, I was blown away because she was not the typical woman I was going to be put in front of. And she made me feel at home in front of the camera.
Well, you've posed for Daphne, obviously, since your portrait is in many countries. And so, well, let's talk about that. If a trans person wants to pose for you, do you ask them? Do they ask you? How does that work?
Well, first of all, I didn't know how I was going to come back to New York. So I did a crowdfunding project. And I said, this is the projects that I've done in the past. And I raised almost $12,000
to get back to New York.
to come back to New York. So I actually wrote how much my studio would cost and how much my plane ticket would cost. And I had the pleasure of meeting two gentlemen who have the Bureau of, it's called Bureau of the Queer Division, and it's a bookstore in the center on the 14th Street. So I had met Ceyenne there.
13th.
Yeah, on 14th Street.
13th.
Oh, 13th, that's right. And so usually people would contact me and I would send them a list of a few questions, like what they wanted out of the experience of being photographed, especially if they'd never been in front of a professional photographer. And
no money changes hands.
No.
They don't pay you, you don't pay them.
they
Nobody
got
pays
a
anyone.
complimentary portrait as a thank you. But in the beginning I couldn't find anyone, so I worked out at the center. And then later, individuals wrote to me and said, I have something to say. But I realized after the portrait session, we talked. And sometimes we talked and talked and talked. And eventually I realized that's the story. It's not just the photograph. So eventually I went back to school and got some filmmaking skills and interviewed everyone that I photographed. And with Ceyenne, I remember you were very elegant. That's what I remember about you first. And then when the words started flowing, I thought, oh my goodness, we need to collaborate. And our friendship has grown, I would
Years
say.
now.
Yeah, years now.
How long have you known each other?
Almost 3 years now.
Almost 3 years.
Yeah.
That's great. And together you founded Glitz.
Yes. So what I'm really excited about is I'm the executive director of the arts program. And I realized, as the photographer, I think a lot about my subject. So imagine I'm taking your photograph, but I have the camera. So there's a inherent power imbalance.
Sure, naturally.
So I've developed a program where we're going to have corporate sponsorship. I partnered up with Lomography on 4th Street here in New York City. And individuals will take a free workshop, be given a camera, be given some film, and document their lives from their point of view
Wonderful.
over 2 weeks.
I have the most terrible allergies. We're shooting this in spring of 2017. Our eyes are watering like crazy.
No, it's because you're so touched by what I'm saying.
Well, that's but no, truly, and your eyes are watering too.
My eyes are watering. So what I wanted to add is just that I am now in discussion with the International Center of Photography to put on a show and teach individuals the skill of using a camera and how to edit and put on a fine art show.
That's
And
wonderful.
And
so-
just
and
life
it's-
through their eyes.
Yeah.
Life
Not
through,
mine.
Yeah, life through their eyes is going to be unique. It's going to be something.
And these are transgender individuals.
Yes.
Yes.
And it's going to be, I think it's going to be breathtaking. I think it's going to be nice to see different images of what a day-to-day life of a transgender woman is looking out into the world.
Where can we see these images?
Well, we haven't started the project yet. Ceyenne is volunteered to be the first workshop taker.
Yes.
There are, I believe, 12 spots in total for the first workshop we're going
And
to
I
have.
think I filled 5 of them last night.
Excellent.
I just when I tell people these things, I want them to take it in and think about it. And for some reason, the women didn't have to think. As soon as I said Daphne Chan photography, they said, "I want to do it." It was nice to see, but trans women with me have went out on a limb and trusted me. With Red Umbrella Project, we did a workshop, a theater workshop with the girls over a year's time, and we took their stories and composed it into a little play. We had it at Joe's Pub, which was really rewarding. We also gave the girls a little stipend at the end of it for putting on their show. It's their show in their words. And it was a creation that actually, it was much a part of Red Umbrella as it was me.
What is Red Umbrella?
The Red Umbrella Project is a sex workers project. agency for sex workers or ex-sex workers, doesn't matter. But we advocate and fight for human rights for the sex worker.
Mm-hmm.
And through the Red Umbrella Project and SWAP USA, which is the Sex Workers Project, I was able to teach these young women the tools for acting to be able to stand up on a stage and do a presentation. And it was phenomenal. We sold Joe's Pub out. A lot of the girls that had never done anything in their lives other than sex work became advocates, became caseworkers,
Wonderful.
became a wrestler.
Well, caseworkers were like in the
for
social system?
the GLBT community,
Right.
within all the organizations, because that's generally the places they let us have a job.
Right.
And that comes with no high or lows. It's here's the job. I would like to see a trans woman in a director's position, in a general manager's position.
Yeah.
I would like to see them in high positions and not the low positions, just to make the mark of
Well,
the
Cristina Herrera has
I
at the
love her.
center. I love her too.
I love her.
She's, so
She's
great.
been on the
She's
show.
great.
I love her. It's Cecilia.
She's the head of her unit, so that's
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
I love her. And I just like
And Carrie
to see-
Davis
and
is highly
Carrie,
placed
yes.
in the center.
I like to see trans women in positions of power. I think it's important now. It's also important for our youth to know that this is what we paid for. We're actually, some of us have bled, sweat, and tears. Have blood, sweat, and cried so trans women could actually go on and
Yes.
thrive. It's a wonderful thing to just have Daphne's presence and
Yes,
advice
yes.
and talk me down off the bridge when I need it.
How is it that a cisgender woman, presumably heterosexual,
Presumably.
I'm flexible, but yes.
Ambidextrous.
is comfortable with such an unusual aspect of life and humankind?
So my background also in law, but I also have a degree in psychology, and I thought I would become a sex therapist one day.
Or a sex worker, pick one. Yeah.
Yes, actually, yes.
Have you been a sex worker?
No, I have not.
I
but
have.
I'm, I'm really interested in people's interior lives, and so to
And
me,
it's easy to access via photography because sometimes the soul shows through the eyes.
well, I feel that we could have this conversation, and I could have a camera, and that gives me access, or I could put the camera down, and we would still have the same conversation. And so the reason why I'm comfortable with it is because I think I want to talk about things that people don't want to talk about. And I'm going to do that throughout my entire life.
Well, because you give them a safe venue for discussion, is that, in other words, most people don't listen to the transgender community, and you're willing to listen and
Learn.
make a record for posterity of transgender folk.
Yeah, there's actually right now I have it's called transmedia, which just means that it exists on different media. And so it's a mixture of interviews and photographs, and it's been published in a magazine, and you can find it on my website. But it is a way of letting others, creating the space so that others can tell their story.
Okay,
And
now,
we need that.
how can people contact you if they would like to be photographed or, something?
They can friend me on Facebook. They can find me on my website at www.daphnechanphoto.com. You can,
And Daphne Chan is spelled DaphneChan, right?
yep, photo.com.
Excuse me. And should you wish to, what?
Oh, sorry, I just was comforting you because you were coughing.
I hate being comforted.
sorry.
Anyway. And how can people contact you?
They can contact me through soon-to-be myglitz.com and Cooking in Heels, Ivy Coy Gorton on Facebook and Ceyenne Doroshow
Well,
on
Ivy,
Instagram.
no.
Ivy.
Ivy, I-V-Y.
IVIEKOYGORDON on Facebook and Ceyenne Doroshow on Instagram.
Okay. Are you bigendered?
I don't know how to explain it.
Are you two-spirit, as they say?
I don't know how, well,
Do you ever look like a man?
no, but I am in love with men. But I don't know.
No, because you have two different names. That's
Oh, no. So I did that to protect myself.
Oh.
So with all of this notoriety, people contact you and you may not want to talk to them.
I think I can relate. Yeah.
So so Ceyenne, when people call Ceyenne has her own phone.
In other words, Cayenne is Marilyn, Ivy's Norma Jean.
Yes.
Love that analogy.
I like that. Smart.
Well, okay, now, and you both are working together now to make Glitz a reality.
Yeah.
Yes.
And again, if you want to, you can contact Daphne and or Cayenne and see if, it's a good fit for Glitz, and maybe if you're lucky, Daphne will want to photograph you. You never know, right? Anyway, I'm Diana Montford. This has been the Diana Montford Show. My guests have been, whom did I introduce first? We should say goodbye the opposite way. But anyway, whoever gets top billing. Okay, Ceyenne and Daphne. Daphne Chan, Ceyenne Doroshow. And listen, Flawless Sabrina, if you're watching,
Oh.
you have done so much for our community. I don't know what to say. I mean, what can I say? You've done so much for so long for our community. This community would be very different without you, and much less happy and successful. This community, you are the architect to a degree of the transgender community.
And Miss Major.
And Miss Major, of course. Hi, Miss Major. Anyway, I'm Diana Montford. This has been the Diana Montford Show. Even if no one else loves you, I love you. I love you because I have no taste at all. No, I love you. You're great. Mwah. I love you a lot, and I'll see you next time. And take real good care of yourself. Love you a lot. Bye.